We left off in our mimer. I don't have the exact page number in front of me because I'm looking at it from a different text. We're left off at Ois Ches, and we were speaking about how even though it's necessary, even though Olam Haba, which is the Gilui of Soiviv Kalam, which is beyond this chalkus, beyond any type of division, etc., is much higher, and therefore we say Yofa Shoachas B'tshuva Ma'asim Tovim B'Kol Chayil Mabo, that B'Olam Hazeh, that this world, that Tshuva and Ma'asim Tovim, the mitzvahs of this world, which is the revelation that's going to be when Mashiach comes, is so much greater than Gan Eden, because in Gan Eden it's a level of Memalik Kol Almin, that's already a defined light, a limited light, whereas Olam Haba is Soiviv Kol Almin, that will become revealed when Mashiach comes. On the other hand, at the beginning of the Maimer, we said that the reason why we're doing Torah mitzvahs in this world, Ba Bayamin, is so that we should be able to have the garments to be able to receive the revelations of Gan Eden. Because it's impossible to be able to have the revelations of Gan Eden if we are lacking the mitzvahs. The mitzvahs are made up, are an extension, are a revelation of the revelation that we're going to receive in Gan Eden, and therefore they're strong enough to act as a filter, so we should be able to receive it. So therefore the question was, how do we reconcile the two? So we said, as great as the revelation is of Olam Haba, as great as the revelation is of Soiviv Kalamin, which reflects the unlimited nature of the undefined and undivisible nature of the Ein Sof that's prior to it, whereas Gan Eden comes from the level of the Kav, which is already defined and limited and divided, at least in the state of potential, at least internally and so on. Still in all, the only way to be able to reach that level of Olam Haba, the level of the Soiviv, the level of the infinite light of Hashem, is beforehand by doing the level of Memali, by having the level of the Kav, by having the level of Gan Eden. So even though there's such a great gap between the two, and we're saying Brach Lecha, that it's a matter of escape, it's something we have to run and jump to be able to reach that level, still in all, despite that being such a high and removed level, first we need to have the Gan Eden level, first we need to have the Memala Kalam, the level of the Kav, and through that we will jump and reach that level that's higher. We also spoke about, so that's why it says Hayesheves B'Ganim, we are sitting in the gardens, Ganim is going on Gan Eden, and then Barach Doidi, escape, my beloved Al Harib Samim, it's going on Mashiach's time, it's going on the revelation of Soiv Kalaman, because one leads to the other, even though it's such a big gap, we're calling it Barach. We explained about these two levels, Soiv, Malay, the Kav, the Ein Sof, Gan Eden versus Mashiach's times. This corresponds to the two levels of Yud Kei Vav Kei, the higher level of Yud Kei Vav Kei versus the lower level of Yud Kei Vav Kei, which are separated by the line in Yud Gimel Sarachmim, or separated by the name Elokeinu in Shema Yisrael. This is indicative of the Tzimtzum Harishon that separates between the Ein Sof before the Tzimtzum and the Kav. And then as well, we have in our Nefesh, we have the level of Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei, which allows us to attain this. And he explained the entire avoid of Yud Kei Vav Kei. Yud is total bittul and Nachsatz Musay. Hey is a bonus to see how far he is. Vav is how to quench his thirst once he realizes how far he is from the Eibishter with the Torah. And Hey is the Maisa Mitzvahs. So now it connects in over here. The last thing he said, that even though in the order of Yud Kei Vav Kei, Ma'aseh HaMitzvahs, the actions of the mitzvahs is the lowest, yet still in all, only through mitzvahs do we cause the elevation in the Torah, just like the avoid of Yidden cause an elevation in the Malachim, and as high and as undefined the source of Torah is, it's still enclosed in Chachma, which means it's susceptible to some type of levels of divisions, whereas the purity of the mitzvahs, done with a Emunah Pshuta especially, so that is something that is even higher and elevates the Torah that brought him to doing those mitzvahs. So now we're going to go on in Ois Ches, 6th page of your copies, bottom of the page. Hioshevet Begנים brach doidik goimer al hari besamim. This is what it means, the one that's sitting in the gardens. Escape, my beloved, upon the spice mountains. Did you do it's known? Shagil shebegan Eden hu beikir zeh shemizgalal neshamas. The revelation of Gan Eden is primarily, this is what's revealed to the neshamas. Hapnimius velikus shal haTorah shalom delamata. The inner part and the godliness of the Torah that we study down here below, that very Torah that we study down here below, when we come to Gan Eden, we are going to study it the way they study Torah in Gan Eden. The spiritual component of Torah, the inner meaning of those halachos in Torah. Like, for example, that the Shnayim Oichsim B'Talus, the way it's learned in Gan Eden, two people holding on to the same talus and each one is saying, I found it, is a different way of learning. It's learned on a spiritual realm than in the physical realm. So the very same thing that we learned here in this world, we will take that Torah learning and learn it in Gan Eden. And that's why it says, Ashrei Mishabola Kam Fortunate is someone who comes here to Gan Eden and is he possesses learning, because then he will have the material to go on further. It's maybe to give a simplistic analogy. It's like a lot of times in yeshiva, when you come to the higher advanced stages, the bacher that's studying needs to prepare all the material. Needs to prepare the Gemara, the Rashi, the Tosfos, the Mefarshim. Then he comes into yeshiva, and the Rosh Yeshiva teaches him some greater insights and links this Gemara with a different Gemara and explains the Rishonim, the Achronim, and so on. But if a person comes into the shir, he never studied the Gemara, he never studied the commentaries, he never opened up the Sefer, he's not going to know what's going on in the shir. In a similar vein, to be able to appreciate and to be able to reach over there to this deeper insights in Torah learning, first we need to learn the Gemara in the simple sense. Open up the Gemara that speaks about Shnayim Oichsim B'Talus, study it down here, learn about the Gemara Shabbos, learn Gemara Chulin, etc., etc. Then we can learn it up there, the inner and spiritual level of that. So that's the reward in Gan Eden, Torah, which we said before, Torah is in the order of Shem Yud Kei Vav Kei higher than mitzvahs. Torah is the letter Vav, whereas mitzvahs is the final letter Hey. As opposed to the revelation of the infinite light of Hashem that comes down through the mitzvahs, that will be primarily revealed when Mashiach comes. In other words, he's emphasizing the word be'ikr. True, in Gan Eden there's also a reward for mitzvahs, and then when Mashiach comes, it's a reward for Torah as well. But the primary revelation and the primary level of the Ein Sof is in Gan Eden will be the Ein Sof of Torah, and then in Mashiach comes Tchias HaMesim will be the Ein Sof of mitzvahs. The schar mitzvahs b'hayal malekum, the reward of the mitzvahs is not to be found in this world. The Chazal say, in other words, at present we do not have the reward of the mitzvahs. Because when Mashiach comes, it will be the revelation of the light of Soviv. And not only the light of Soviv, but the Rebbe always likes to push it up a notch. Even higher, there will be a revelation of Hashem's very essence. This is the idea that the revelation of Mashiach's times are called the spice mountains. So now up till now we didn't really explain why Hare B'Samim is referring to Mashiach's times, the Gilui of Ohr HaSoviv. We said, Barach, it's escaping, you're running away from Gan Eden because you're going to a much higher level. But what is it about the words Hare B'Samim? So he says, an interesting taich, he says, Hainu, this means, Harim Bashamayim. You could read B'Samim in the, as the word Bashamayim. Shir Hashirim, the Medrash of Shir Hashirim on that pasuk actually says this as well. It's not something that's originated in Chassidus. It says Hare B'Samim. So the Medrash, he says in the footnote 51, the bottom of the 7th page of the Maimer, Bishmei Shamayim Al Yoinim, in the supernal heavens of heavens. That's what the Medrash says in this pasuk. So what does this mean? The mountains Bashamayim, Shamayim Heimakifin Kolam. The heavens are what transcend all the worlds, that encompass all the worlds, just like the literal heaven, the literal sky, the physical heaven is something that encompasses and encircles the world. The same thing, the level of Shamayim in the spiritual state is the level of Makifim, like Soviv. And then the Harim Shebashamayim, it says Hare B'Samim, Hare Shebashamayim. Shagam B'Shamayim Hem Harim Boiltim. Even in the levels of the heavens, they are still considered mountains. They are still protruding, meaning they are still great, even in that level. Sometimes people can be great on one level, but then when they reach a higher level, they can't be considered great anymore in comparison to that level. So over here, we're talking about that even in Shamayim, they're mountains, they're protruding, they're high. What is that level that even in comparison to the heavens, they're considered mountains? If heavens is already Soiv Kolam, it's a level of Makiv. What's higher? Like we said before, Atzmos Inyan Giluya Atzmos Shalomayla Gam Soiv. It's referring to a revelation of Hashem's very essence that's even higher than Soiv Kolam. That's what he says, escape upon the mountains of B'Samim of Shamayim. Because the revelation of Memale, which is in Gan Eden, in comparison to the revelation of Soiv Kolam, which is Shamayim. And and how much more so Gan Eden, Memale Kolam, in comparison to the revelation of Hashem's essence, the mountains of Shamayim, it's incomparable whatsoever. So the Rebbe says now in the brackets, it's not just Memale Kolam is incomparable, even Soiv Kolam is incomparable in regards to Atzmos. He says in the brackets, 4 lines in, the Lagabi Atzmos in comparison to Hashem's essence, also the transcendent infinite light of Soiv is incomparable, like it says in the pasuk, much you have made and done, your wonders and your thoughts to us, there is no comparison to you. Rabbis, what does it mean? Many. What's the much? In Klaus Kalagiluim the Soiv Mal. It's referring to the general revelation of Soiv Kolam and Mal Kolam. Shnikroim Rabbis. They're called many or much or great. Al derech mashakas bezoyer my rabbis. The Zohar says what is considered great and much. Gedolos, my rabbis gedolos. What is the much and greatness? Eloin v'ravrivim, the supernal ones and the great ones. Concerning this level of Soiv Kolalmin and Memal Kolalmin, for that he says, Rabbis is a sisa. Just like we have many times in Tanya, the Alter Rebbe says, Kulam b'chachma a sisa. That chachma da'atzilus, the highest level of Seder Ishtalshlos, is considered like an action in comparison to Hashem. The same thing he's saying here, Rabbis Asisa, that the many high levels, including not just Memal Kolam, but also Soiv Kolalmin, are only Asisa, the Chalagiluyim, Imayosam Rabbis, Iloim Veravrivim, Kwayasil Gabeis Barach, all the revelations, even though they are much high and great, they are like actions. In other words, the most lowest form in comparison to the Eibishter. Mamshech, because of the pasuk after saying Rabbi Sasisa continues, Nifleisecha, Machveisecha, Gaimer, your wonders and your thoughts. Nifleisecha, Imegeluim, the Soiviv, your wonders are the revelations of Soiviv. It's a pel, it's a wonder. Wonder shows Shalamayla Mishtalshlus. It's incomprehensible. It's beyond the Seder Ishtalshlus, which begins with Chachma. A pel means something I can't comprehend. That's Soiviv. Umachveisecha, and your thoughts. That's already thought, has to do with intellect, something that's comprehensible within Seder Ishtalshlus. So that's referring to the revelation of Mamal Kalam. The Omer, so the pasuk says, Shekol Hagilui de Nifleisecha Machveisecha Urak Eleinu. All the revelations of your wonders and thoughts, in other words, Soivim and Mali, that's only to us. For us, it's considered a revelation. For us, it's considered that we're gaining from it. But in comparison to the Eibishter, they're completely incomparable. They're incomparable to you. How are they brought down? Where they come from? It says, Agida vadabeira, I will tell and I will speak. Telling and speech is an idea of drawing down. Chassidus brings down that in Aramaic, the word nagid can mean like a river that's flowing and being nimshach, and speech is about drawing down, revealing something. So it says, it's I am drawing it down. Where did Soiv Mala come down? Hashem himself, me'atzmus sof. It came down from Hashem's essence, and he through many contractions and constrictions. Atzmoi mesaper. He himself is, Atzmu mesaper. They're too powerful to even count and to enumerate how many tzimtzumim. Since this Soiv Kalam and Hashem's essence are beyond revelation. In other words, like we said before, it's completely beyond Mamale. Therefore, the revelation of Soiv Kalam, and even further higher up Atzmus, which is so totally beyond revelation, how do we get there? We first need to have the light of Mamal Kalam that shines in Gan Eden. Shinyoni Daira Amali Gilui, the idea of the Mamal Kalam light is a state of revelation. Therefore, only through Mamale, also those matters that on their own are in the concept of being concealed, Nimshachim Begilui, come down in a revealed way. In other words, even though Soiv Kalam by itself is beyond revelation, and Atzmus is even more so beyond revelation, the power of Mamalik Olamin is, since it is about revelation, by first preceding and starting off with Mamali and Gan Eden, that we have revelation, like starting off first with Torah, then we can have the essence that's in mitzvahs, then we can have the essence that's Soivev and Atzmus, that's Mashiach's times, that even that, which is normally beyond revelation, through preceding it with revelation, with Amal Kalam, even that itself can become revealed as well. Continue. Ois tes, finalize in the mind. Yesh lahoise bezah, we could add in this, Shual derech hayidua bepirish, Chaverim makshivim lekoilech. In that very same passage where it says, in that very same part in Shir Hashirim, where it says, Hayeshevet Baganim, the one that is sitting in the gardens, the Neshamas that are sitting in Gan Eden. So it says over there that Chaverim, friends, are listening to your voice, to the voice of the Neshamas, to the voice of the Neshamas that are in Gan Eden and in the level of the Yidden down here. We'll see which one we're talking about. Who is it talking about? So Chaverim, who are the Chaverim? Who are the friends? He Malachei Hashoris. They are considered Malachim. Malachim are called friends. Why are they called friends? So in the Maimer, the Friedrich Rebbe Basel Lagani, where he has the second Maimer, the Hemshech, Ayeshevet Beganim, he explains over there that they are called friends because malachim between themselves have no competition and they don't have arguments, etc., and disputes. Or they are called friends to us, to the neshamas, because just as the neshamas, they are Hashem's children. So therefore they're called friends. But they're listening to your voice. What does it mean the malachim are listening to your voice? Hey makshivim lekoilech, they are listening to your voice. Lekoil ha-Torah vat-tefillah di Yisrael, to the voice, to the sound of the Torah and the davening of Yid. Why do the malachim need the Yidden's Torah? So, it's first of all why the Yidden need the malachim to listen to them. Since the voice and speech of a person is physical, it's part of the material realm, it's physical airwaves. So therefore, so that the Torah and davening of a Yid should ascend upon high and become part of the Olam Yonim. The malachim need to purify the words of davening, the words of learning. How did they do so? Like it says in the Zohar, the gafif lahain umenashik lahain, that the malachim embrace, hug these words, and the malachim kiss the words of the davening. And then by Deisha Malachim Mailim Oisius HaTorah Vat-Tefillah Yisrael, through the Malachim elevating the words and letters of Torah and davening of a Yid. Pirish Hanal Makshivim L'Koilach, like we said before, this is the meaning that they're listening to your voice. Listening does not just mean listening, but they are elevating it, they are assisting it in going upwards. As a reward for this, Hey makshivim lekoilach, they are also listening to the voice in a different way. They are now gaining and getting like a kickback. They are receiving from the letters of Torah and davening of Yid. Like more in the literal idea of makshivim. When I'm listening to someone else speak, I am receiving from that person. So the same thing, the malachim listen first to embrace and to elevate and to purify the words of davening and learning. And then what follows from that is that they listen and receive and they gain from the words of Torah and Tefillah of the Yidden. How come? Didn't we just say it's so low and it needs to be purified and it's gashmi and so on? What does it mean? How do they gain? Because they are much, much higher than the malachim. The Yidden are much higher than the Malachim, and they are much higher, incomparably so. And therefore, the Torah and Tefillah that the Yidden speak is something that is a great elevation for the Malachim. The Rebbe says an interesting point. That's why the Malachim are called friends of the Yidden. The Yidden are not called friends of the Malachim, but like one of the explanations we said before, Malachim are the friends of the Yidden. So, being the friends of the Yidden, that means that they are ancillary to, they're auxiliary to the Yidden, because the Malachim are much lower than the Yidden. He says, Al derech zo gam b'inyan hagiluyim del asad lavei, so too, it's concerning the revelations of Mashiach's times. Dagam shem nailim bein arech l'gabe giluyim de Gan Eden, though they are incomparably higher with the revelations of Gan Eden, like we said before. Because the revelations of Mashiach's times is the revelation of Soiviv, and even higher from Hashem's very essence. Kol Malkum still and all. Mekiv and Shagiluyim del Asik, who ha'or shenim shechai de asiyas hamitzvos b'dvarim gashmim sheba'olam hazeh gashmim v'achumri. So since that revelation comes about through for performing mitzvahs in physical matters, in the physical material world, in the coarse physical world. Therefore, the physical mitzvahs need to be refined through going up to Gan Eden. The Gan Eden because Gan Eden is totally purified. So just like we have that the malachim need to purify the words of Torah and Tefillah so that they should become, the words of Torah and Tefillah should become part of the Olam Yonim, so too we need to do Torah mitzvahs so that it should be able to go up to Gan Eden and purify the physicality of the Torah mitzvahs. Where do we see that Gan Eden is completely purified? So he says in the parentheses, why was Adam Arishan chased out of Gan Eden after he ate from the Eitz Hadas? What was the problem with remaining in Gan Eden? If Hashem didn't want him to eat from the Eitz HaChaim, and he was worried, like it says, perhaps he's now going to eat from the Eitz HaChaim and he's going to live forever. There are other ways how Hashem could make it that he would not have any approach to the Eitz HaChaim. Why was it necessary for him to be kicked out of Gan Eden? Gan Eden does not tolerate the existence of sin. It's similar to what's brought down that concerning when the Yidden sinned, so the Eretz Yisrael would vomit them, would like throw out the Yidden, because Eretz Yisrael is too holy to be able to tolerate the impurity of the sin. On a much higher level, it's that way in Gan Eden. So if Gan Eden does not tolerate sin, so it's understood in a similar vein that Gan Eden can be a purification process, and that's why we need to do mitzvahs to be able to go up in Gan Eden to purify. Ella she'achshav, nowadays, before Mashiach comes, even after we become purified in Gan Eden, the very essence of the mitzvah is not something that shines in a revealed state. Only a ray. The level of the light of Memala Kol Almin is what can shine, and that's what we could take of the mitzvah in Gan Eden. Only a ray of the mitzvah, not the essence of the mitzvah, which is Soiviv or Atzmos. But through the Oir HaMemala that shines now in Gan Eden, through the mitzvahs that we fulfilled, since the idea of Memala Kol Almin, the light of Memala Kol Almin is revelation, so Yilas and Lav Yahagilui, the Etzem HaMitzvah, when Mashiach comes, will be the revelation of the essence of the mitzvah. Gilui HaSoiviv, it'll be the revelation of Soiviv, like we said before, not just that Soiviv will be there, but it'll be revealed thanks to Memale imposing, if you will, its standards of revelation upon Soiviv, or Lamailios, or even higher than that, it will bring about revelations on Harib Samim, the levels of the mountains and the heavens, Gilut Shittas HaAtzmos, the revelation of the unadulterated, pure aspect of Atzmos will now become revealed through the previous level of revelation that we had in Gan Eden.